Welcome to The Final Edit, a podcast brought to you by Maison, a private network for 7 to 9 figure female founders where women redefine success, legacy, and influence.
We're your hosts, Maritza Toban and Hannah Nieves. We're co-founders, mothers, and builders behind a billion-dollar vision.
These conversations are with leading founders who are shaping the industry and the future as they build it.
Welcome to The Final Edit. Welcome back to another episode of The Final Edit. I am so excited because today we have another Maison member spotlight and we are joined by Samreen Arshad, and I cannot wait for all of you to get to know her and hear her story. Samreen, welcome to the show. I am so honored that you are here. I know this conversation is going to be so powerful and transformational, and I cannot wait to get started. So before we begin, I would love to take a moment just to hear the Samreen origin story. Who was Samreen before this beautiful, powerful millionaire woman that is sitting across from us?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, guys. I love the two of you, and it's such an honor that I'm being here having this conversation with you. So thank you for that. So my story starts in Pakistan. I'm born and brought up in Pakistan. I moved to the country at the age of 21 to pursue my graduation. I went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor for business. And then following that, I ended up in automotive, etc. So yeah, I was just like a regular girl, Samreen in Pakistan, just doing her thing.
Mm-hmm. So when did you come to the United States? Were you born in Pakistan?
I was born in Pakistan. I lived there until I was 21. So when I was 21, I got into a business school and I wanted to come here to Michigan. And I went to the business school here. I didn't expect to stay because I was on a student visa. And then you have to go back after. And I graduated in 2010, which was like the worst time with Wall Street and everything. Like stock market was down. And out of my graduating international class, everybody had to go back except for me and one more person who were able to land jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just love to know, like, from that point to now, like, what was the evolution to getting into beauty and makeup and, working with women?
Yeah. Oh my God. I always find this question so loaded because there's just so much to it. And then you're always like, am I thinking about my personal journey? Am I thinking about how the world has evolved around me or the business? But I feel that when I feel like I'm like the underdog in every aspect of my life. I was the youngest of 3 sisters. So I was like, I looked up to my sisters and I tried to follow their path. Then I went to college, was also like, not a thing in my family. So on my maternal side, I'm like the first woman to go to college and not get married at that time.
Wow.
And then coming here, it was incredible for me to get sponsored and have like automotive industry, which was so like never thought about that I would be a woman in automotive. But then I just did it. And sometimes I feel like I had the, I just had that feeling like I'm like faking my way through things, but things were really happening around me constantly. So sometimes I'm like, am I really the force behind this? And, you have to remind yourself that yes. So did really well in that. And then I had my son in 2014 and it was like the most beautiful time in my life, but I slipped into really deep postpartum depression. And it was just one of those things, it comes so slowly and it's so sneaky, it creeps up on you that you just don't know it, even though you know what you're going through, but it's so hard to like put a finger on it. Like, what is it? And it took me some time to recognize my symptoms. And then, I was like in a really bad place. I was suicidal, not because like I wasn't happy, but it was like the dark space in me was just growing. It was just taking over my whole existence. And that's when I found makeup through YouTube tutorials. And like this random night, I was sitting and scrolling YouTube, and this is like 2014, 2015 almost, when YouTube tutorials were making it big. And I come from a very conservative family in Pakistan. So I was not introduced to makeup, cosmetics until I came to America. It was just something like girls didn't do until, I don't know what the benchmark is, but until some point in your life. So when I saw those YouTube tutorials, it was just like back to back, you know how it keeps scrolling. And I would be just sitting there watching the transformations for like 5 hours, 6 hours. That just became my life. And then I was so like hypnotized by that beauty of transformation. I just wanted to do that because I thought it made me feel better. So I always talk about makeup and I say it does so much more for your inner soul than it does for your outer appearance. Whatever it is for you could be a mascara or your eyeliner. Like for you, it could be your lipstick. You put it on and you just feel like you're complete. And I think for me, it was just whatever it was. And I taught myself makeup, and the farthest I could think was I could be a makeup artist. Because, I'm an immigrant and I'm looking at the beauty industry, and it's so far-fetched, and became a makeup artist, taught myself makeup, then trained myself in like runway and fashion makeup from Toronto College of Makeup and Arts, and then became a makeup artist. And then I was being booked out like a year in advance.
Wow.
So I grew the business so fast. And then I was like, but this is not what I like. Like, I love the transformation. I love it. But it was just not for me to work with clients. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
And money was great. But I'm like, no. And then that's when Instagram got really popular in 2016 or something, 2017. And then my friends were like, oh, you need to be on Instagram. I was like, what is this? It's so much. And the hashtags and the mentions. And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, okay, let me do this so I can just get free makeup. Like, that was my next goal in life, was to get free makeup. And I remember the first PR package I got was like by CoverGirl. It was huge. It was like this big, everything you saw on Instagram back then. I mean, now companies are so more vigilant about this stuff. Like, you care about the waste and you don't make those superficial out of, because they just go to waste after that. But I remember that moment so vividly in my life. I was like, oh, I made it. Yeah. Like, that was my feeling. I remember I was like, I made it.
Even though, you know what, just from listening to you, you'd already made it in a lot of significant ways. I want to pause here for a second, because for those listening, we can all relate to that feeling of some sort of adversity or challenge or moment where we have that imposter syndrome, where we're building or doing something and we're like, wait, am I like the right person to be doing this? Like, we start second guessing ourselves. But what I find to be the common thread, though, from what you've said, that I think it's so important, and I want all of you listening to really take this in from Samreen, is that, the challenges that she's faced, because it was so hard, I'm sure, as an immigrant, to even start your life over and to be in a country where maybe you didn't know a lot of people. I don't know how great your English was then. When I came here, I'm also an immigrant. When I came here, I didn't speak any English. So wow. I can relate on.
How old were you?
I was 9.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that's like a whole like situation, there. But I know the challenges, of that immigrating to a new country. But despite everything, this is what I want everyone to take away from this. You kept going. Samreen kept going and kept trying to find, her calling, this next version of her.
Right.
And all of those things. And I think that that's so powerful as a part of your journey. And again, for everyone listening in, no matter what season you're in, if you feel something in your gut that is telling you, I am meant for more, that's worth pursuing. No matter, the challenges that you're facing, finding that time to discover what's calling you, I think it's so important. And something that I think it's so beautiful about you that I would love to touch on too, if, you're open to it with our audience, is that throughout this entire transformation, and this is just because, I know you, you have been such a fierce advocate too for representation in this space.
Yeah.
And it went beyond just like, hey, there should be more, brown girls like me sharing their YouTube tutorials and their beauty finds and their hacks to like, now I want to create incredible products for my people. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
That was so organic. And I want to touch on a couple of things when you said about like your benchmarks or going. My problem is that I achieve something and like, which is a very bad habit, and I am no more thinking about it. Like that, I've achieved so many things in life that sometimes when I look back, I'm like, I have to write a book one day. Because from like ashes to whatever, something I feel like I've built my life on my own, one thing after another. So the first thing was that when I was an influencer, I thought I was as talented as many of my peers in that space, but I would be overlooked for campaign opportunities all the time. Like not like I didn't exist, and I knew like I don't know what worked, because I feel like Instagram and social media has changed so much. What worked last year doesn't work this year, so it like keeps evolving. At that time, I feel I was doing everything possible, but I didn't see obviously other influencers like me. I think there were two or three in the mix, and then I was being overlooked. And I've always had this fierce confidence in me that why not me for everything, even though I could have been like, oh, who am I? No, I was like, why not me? And then, so that was one thing. And then the other thing, I was like, maybe I will just I'm just gonna go work at a Sephora, and I'm gonna like I'm just gonna work there, maybe get makeup and keep making my videos. So I was trying to like make bare minimum things meet, right? So there was one Sephora in Buffalo, New York, where I lived, and at the time, and I would just walk in there and apply, because they always had like a floor associate, whatever they call it now, as like sales job. So I was like, they always had floor associate jobs open, but I would go and put in my application and show my like my deck to the manager, and they're like, yeah, we'll let you know. And I did that for a year and a half, and I was never called in for an interview. I don't know what I think about it today, because I think I'm matured and I've come so far. But in that moment, I just felt like I was really being overlooked for who I was as a person. And, I just thought it could be very genuine and harmless, but I knew in a year and a half there had to be some position open, because everybody in the store literally knew me, because I would just walk in all the time, because that was just my happy place. I just wanted to be around makeup. Well, I didn't land anything, and I just remember it was this one day I was standing in the store and I was looking around, just standing like very upset, like just kind of feeling defeated, like because my goal was I'll get into Sephora and then I'll go to corporate, so I was like, this is my way, like I can do this. And then one day I was just like, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And I said, I'm going to make a cosmetic line and they would want to carry it one day. And that memory is so vivid in my head. I remember where I was standing, what I was looking at. I saw nobody in the store in advertising that looked like me. And that was just an innocent thought. And then I went home and I Googled how to make makeup in America. It was just as simple as that. And then what's involved into today, I think, is more of a movement than just another makeup brand. It's a movement about bringing our rich heritage and culture to the forefront, about the beauty, like our history with beauty and like how it was crafted back in Southeast Asia it's so rich. And I feel there's so much we could do with modern day like efficacy and traditional ingredients together. And that's what we're working on now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And so fast forward, you have your first cosmetics brand and now you're raising for your second, which I think is incredible. And what I think is also really powerful is that you're not just thinking about getting into Sephora in the US, you're thinking globally. And so I'm just curious, like, what does it look like to build a cosmetics brand with an international reach, like from day one?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So when I made Samreen's Vanity, it was just like a rebellious thing, but I just knew that I was so into makeup. I knew I wanted to work with the best labs in Europe, which took a long time convincing, because Samreen was just sitting on a couch with like 40,000 followers at that time. And who is she? So we got through that, and it was a very innocent move. And then my eyeliners landed us on QVC. And I was like, oh, and I still remember that I didn't know what QVC was. So when I got the call, I almost thought it was fake. So I ran up and I ran to my mother-in-law. She was visiting me at the time. I'm like, Mom, I just got a call. And this lady says she's from QVC. I was like, what is that?
Wow.
And, of course, my mother-in-law, she's like, oh my God, QVC, this is great. This is great. I'm like, okay. And then I called my assistant at the time and I was like, girl, she's like, this is huge. I'm like, okay, great. So we're doing this. So we did QVC. And it was like one of those like big moments. It was national television. And that was another benchmark for me. And then we did the dual-ended lipsticks, which is actually our hero product. Is like 72% of our business is just those. And then that took a life of its own. Then Costco reached out to us. And I still remember they're like, we would like to meet your team. And I'm like, who's my team? Like, I am the team, And I just knew that the brand I was building was not, I love Costco, but it was a prestige brand. So we did that. But then Shark Tank reached out. We were actually on the Today Show Chicago twice, and things were really happening for me. I was in Harper Bazaar. I was in Glamour, Vogue. Like, a lot started happening where my confidence just elevated. I'm like, okay, if I work hard, I can really make my space in this market. So when Shark Tank reached out to us, that's when I think that has been my most courageous and also my not the smartest move is at that time. I just knew that by the time this is going to air, it's going to be a different brand. I had outgrown my brand and had so much more like vision behind it. I was like, I want to make my own formulations. I want to bring in Southeast Asian ingredients into holistic ingredients and makeup that we can talk about and they really nourish you. And I really want a brand that when sitting out there, it really represents my people. And so I paused the brand and we decided to rebrand everything. We're launching with a new name, with a new footing. Our brand story, our ingredient story is huge. So that's kind of a way it took a movement on its own that we're doing right now.
Yeah. And Hannah and I, lucky us, have been, we've got to see the branding. I remember when you shared that with us and we were both floored, but also stunning. Just the packaging. And again, it's like what I love the most about the things that you're creating is there's so much intention behind what you're doing, and like you want to create something that is so value driven. And I know so many of us can relate because why we build businesses, that are aligned to our values and things like that and are centered on something so much bigger than just generating, revenue, because you've already shown that you could have done that, in so many different paths, but you're like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good enough.
Like when Costco happened. Yeah. That was like, for me, it was like, I need this, right? Like you want the next big thing because that could be your break. But I knew the brand is not, that positioning is not for my brand. And then like when Shark Tank happened, sometimes I think back, I'm like, should I just stayed in that situation and work my way and go into Shark Tank and whatever? But I paused the brand and I was like, no, we need to fix it because the products are fantastic. They're already like our return rate is almost non-existent. It's fantastic. We have a great following. People are looking for more products. But at this point, I was like, I knew what I'm working for. So even though the pathway is tough, but once it hits the market, it's going to be. So when you ask me, what does it mean to make a global brand? I am making this brand not only for the North American market. I feel like it's great, but it's not my focus when I'm building this. I'm really building this for the world because South Asians are 2.1 billion in the world. They're the fastest growing minority in the US. They have the highest household income in the US. So this minority is going to be huge. And what people are overlooking right now, I just feel like the ones who are coming in early right now are lucky because they're getting the best advantage, especially like investing in the brand and going for the journey. But I think when I think about it, I'm like, this is going to be an EMEA. This is going to be a Middle East brand. They're really going to, but like they're really going to connect to it. So we're trying to bring the sense of belonging to people that I feel is so that's our tagline, the beauty of belonging.
That's so beautiful.
I have chills.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I actually want to go back to something that you said, Because I know you and I were going back and forth about this in the DMs. Like you shared that one quote that was like, I keep raising my own bar.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, when Costco came in, you know, going on the news, like all of these things, did you have a moment where you stopped and you were like, congratulations, Samreen, look how far we've come? And almost to like, screw you, Sephora. Because look at where I'm at today.
I do need you, Sephora.
Yes, we do love you, Sephora. But you know, like a moment of like those things, you know, being overlooked and turned down, and kind of like that feeling that you had in the beginning of like, why is this happening? And then now you've had, you know, those breakthroughs. Did you stop to like, you know, sit in that and celebrate that?
I said something earlier. I said I've always been the underdog. Always. In my family, I was just like this goofy, overweight kid. Like I was very overweight until I was like a teenager. So I was never the smartest one to go to the most smartest university. Like my cousins and everybody, they're very cool people. They've done well for themselves. But my family was like, my sisters were married at the age of 17 and they were married off. So they didn't have the chance to build their careers then. They're very happy, extremely happy today. But I feel like it wasn't for me. So that is when I came here. Then when I got the job to stay here, that was a big moment. Like, what? Like Samreen, like our Samreen's doing this? And I still remember when I told my family, one day my family asked me, we're sitting at dinner, my brother-in-law asked me, he's like, so what are you going to do with this? Like this whole Instagram thing, what are you going to do with it? I was like, I don't know. I think I want to make a brand one day. And it was just such a fleeting thought. And he's like, and who's going to buy your eyeliners? Like, there's so many eyeliners out there. I think he was just helping me think that really, like, get it together, girl. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, there are people out there. I know what they're looking for. I am my target audience and I know what I want and I'm just going to build it. These are things that I've just said and not like going to bed and thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. So I think that's just been the thing. So when I say I keep raising the bar, it's like to be on the Today Show. I don't think there is a Pakistani makeup artist who owns a cosmetic line. And I am probably, I mean, every time I do research, I am the first one in the US. And that is what's going to really make the brand even better. Because I'm making the products myself for my people and I know what I want, the colors, the formulations, and the kind of products that we want in a very warm environment and all of that stuff. There's so much goes into it. But I'm the underdog.
I love that. I mean, there's so many questions that I have in my mind, especially around, I just really love that it's so grounded in who you are and where you came from. And I'm just curious, like, how does beauty culture differ in the Middle East than it does in North America? Because I know that you're weaving that into the storyline. So like, how does it differ?
Oh, it's incredible. So the one thing is that back in that part of the world, like makeup is worn as a way of representation, like representing or your, I don't know, like it's a big part of your identity. So women, like for us, like the waterline kajal, which is like so popular now, it is something that women in the field working, they wake up and they put it on in the morning. It's like literally that is so common for us. And then like makeup is a way of expression. And over here, when I remember, it was all very Instagram makeup. Like people like, oh my God, loud eyes and lips and that. And I used to be like, this is how I go to a wedding. Like this is how I'm going out to dinner tonight. So I feel that is a huge part of it. And I feel those people there too, they don't really see one of their own having like their pictures and their makeup and their brand. So people long for that. And the biggest thing is in today's day and age, what we're really missing out in every aspect of our lives and every part of the world is a sense of belonging. Who are we? Right? Like it could be your current administration. It could be the world affairs. Like who do you stand with? Who do you relate to? And I think it's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. So when I see like just skincare brands, because I feel like there are a million skincare brands and they keep coming up and they keep getting investment, is like scientifically backed. Everyone's scientifically backed. Like unless you're really hyper focused on something like eczema or rosacea, this kind of stuff, it's just another skincare brand. So I think for makeup also, even though I'm making products which are very targeted and intentional, but it's also a big part of my journey is just bringing representation. The names that I'm picking for my products are very intentional. The brand name is going to be so intentional, which you guys know of. I'm very proud. And I know the uphill battle because I feel like a lot of people I meet right now, they don't understand where this is going to go. They're just like, oh, there are two other of South Asian founded brands. So why do we need this? I'm like, we're so different. And there's so many of us. And there's so much work that has to be done. Like you never think about like there's one makeup brand out of France. Do we really need more?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Even for Hannah and I, with building Maison, people are like, there's so many masterminds out there. There's so many groups for women. You know, like, why do you want to do this? Like, and we've talked about this before. And I think being so like centered again in your vision is really what drives change forward.
Right.
And you're a woman, number one, a woman of color. And representing, you know, a nation that is never considered in the world of like beauty and makeup, right? And so what do you feel in this current chapter that you're in that is demanding the most personal growth from you as you are facing all of these different like challenges, or I wouldn't even say that, but as you're like trying to rewrite this script and change the narrative of an entire industry?
So anytime somebody does something for the first time, it's hard. It could be any industry, it could be anywhere. So there are two things I want to touch upon here. First thing was like when you guys are building what you're building, Maison, and my conversation with Hannah when I met her, it's so clear in my head because I straight up told her, I was like, I don't believe in these things. I remember I said that. And obviously it has to be me who's like, you know, and I was like, I don't like it. People are so money focused. There's so many masterminds I've been in. I've been invited to join other like women clubs, etc. And I just am very turned off with the conversation of money, 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 money. Let's be the next multimillionaire. Let's take the private jets. Let's look at my bags. Look at this. That shit cringes me. So if I ever do it, call me out. So I'm that person who's going to walk up and be like, can you believe I got this for $40? So
I love you.
For me, like, you know, but I'm so proud of that. And I feel like I need to belong in those spaces where I don't have to keep up with the Joneses. It's just not my thing. It's exhausting. And I feel that does not mean success. So I can't believe, like, I'm so glad I gave in to Maison. I think it's the best thing.
Yes.
It's like the best thing I did for myself, and I cannot stop speaking about it because I'm really finding sisterhood. I'm finding friendships. I'm finding like support. The biggest thing is support, like how everyone tries to help in some way or the other. So that's my first thing I want to say. Congratulations, guys, because I hope you never change, and I hope it gets bigger as big you want it to be, but I hope we all stay as individuals and not just a group of women. And so when you ask about my current journey right now, it is like, and I tell this to people, right now we're big on building space for women, right? Women, invest in women, support women, do this, which is like the whole movement. But when we say women, it's like, who are the women? Is it the Caucasian women? Is it the African-American women? Because they are really holding their space right now, which I think it's their time. Like for my African-American sisters, like, you know, I think that is the movement. Then it's like my Latina people, like Latina girls, they're having their own movement. I really don't think Southeast Asian women are part of that movement yet. Like we're not on the front roster of things. It will happen, but I feel I'm literally like the first person who's not just saying that I am a South Asian who founded a makeup brand, so you all should go buy it. I want you to buy in the story, and I want you to buy in the movement. And it is harder to talk to investors because they don't care. Like, not that they don't care. A lot of them don't know about beauty, and a lot of them don't know the white space that I'm navigating. Like 80 million US has 80 million women of color, and 38% of them are always struggling with their makeup attachments or brands. So I feel like my struggle is harder than a regular Kelly, but it doesn't matter. Like I always say, I've come this far, not just to come this far. I have to go forward, and it's going to happen.
And I love that. And it's just showing the next generation of women and girls that they can do whatever they want, whatever they desire. So I would love to shift before we close, and just, you're raising capital right now.
Yeah.
And which is very interesting. I'm sure is very demanding on your end, right? So I'm just curious for you, like, how do you get into these rooms when you're having these conversations with investors? And like, what's something that you can share with the audience that's been helpful for you as you're starting to raise for this new brand?
Well, firstly, to proof of concept, I put in like $300,000 of my own to start the brand because I really wanted the proof of concept. I knew I don't think everybody would have that kind of opportunity. So I think in that sense, I was very lucky and that I had my husband and I had savings that we put in the business. So I think it was easier for me to start there. However, I did that, and then I did a crowdfunding campaign for the rebrand. So we raised $230,000, $229,000 for that. So I think I've had proof of concept again and again. But I kid you not, I still, when I go in the rooms, it's like the hardest thing I've had to do because they're like, so what's your proof of concept? What are your sales? Or what is this? Or I'm like, everything I've done, like on TV shows and magazines and this and that, but it's still not enough. And I feel as a woman of color, as an immigrant, as an outsider of the beauty space, I really have to prove myself again and again. So right now, I think is the hardest part of the journey where I am. And like, on the drop of a hat, I fly to New York. On the drop of a hat, I fly to Tampa. And I just go because I'm like, this opportunity, the sense of urgency that is needed right now. I don't think anyone, but other than a startup entrepreneur, understands. It's like not tomorrow, it's like now. It could be an email, it could be flying to a place where I may get one lead, or one lead or one investor who wants to talk to me. I've been doing this since the last 5 months. And out of everything, I feel is the most exhausting thing to sell yourself again and again and again and again until something sticks. Mm-hmm. Resilience.
And I will say, and we talked about this at dinner last night, where I think it was like Melanie Perkins of Canva, how she had over 100 no's before she had a yes, and now that company is worth over $49 billion. So imagine all those no's that are thinking, darn it, why did I get in?
You have to believe in you before anybody else is gonna believe in you.
Or the vision. I feel like I don't even know where I get these visions from. It's always out of the park. It will be a global brand. It is going to be in the UK and Europe. It is going to be in Middle East because I know it. Mm-hmm. I wish I could just show that to you and what that exit is going to look like.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that. So as we wrap up here, we have our signature question that we love to ask all of our guests here. So the founder's path is a constant evolution. And so draft after draft, we get closer to our truth. So what's something that you are holding on to right now that reminds you that you're on the right path?
Mm-hmm. There's one thing that I'm going through right now, which is insane. I don't know if I'm on the right path, but I really get reassurance that I am the person to do this. Is because every time I get a rejection, it could be like a retailer rejection. I mean, thankfully, we haven't had retailer rejections yet, but it's more like investors. And it's part of the journey. And it's going to happen again and again. I can raise the 2 million right now, then it'll be the 5 million, then the 10 million, right? So it's a part of your life. How little I think about that rejection surprises me. Amazes me, because I will be down for a day and next day I'm going to figure out 2 other ways of getting to the same person or explaining the story. I just don't give up. I've never given up. And I feel that is just my own, I don't know, I surprise myself with that again and again. I was like, I just don't give up because I feel there's so many people looking up to me right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow, preach. That was so beautiful. Samreen, you're such a special human being. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Please tell our community, where can we find you? Where can we connect with Samreen, and how do we support this next part of your journey?
Oh, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here, giving me this platform. It's never lost on me how far I've come in the rooms I've been in. So this room is really one of those up the rosters where I'm like, I've made it this far. And I just feel you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. I go by my name, Samreen Arshad. and just share the story, like understand the vision behind it and just share the story. It's not all about just investment. It's more about just growing our group of women, just walking in that same direction.
I love that.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yay!